This episode of WDW Today is being sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And if you're planning a trip to Walt Disney World in 2010 and you're looking to get a great deal on your next trip, why not try MEI and Mouse Fan Travel? That's right. They can help you get the best deal possible out there. You know, it never hurts because it's going to be the same fee to you. It's free. It's free to you, in fact. So why not give them a try? Let them see what they can get you for a deal. And you never know. If anything, it'll make your life easier. So check them out at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, February 24th, 2010, and this is episode 686 of WDW Today. I'm Matt Hatchberg of StudioCentral.com. Joining me on today's show is Mike Scopa, a senior feature writer and blogger for allears.net. Welcome, Mike.
Matt, once again, we stand on the brink of a new renaissance.
Spaceship Earth.
Gee. Yeah.
The agony of defeat.
You sound disappointed, Mike.
Yeah, well, one of these days I like to try to. Well, I guess I shouldn't be disappointed. I did stump them on the last one, so
yeah, it's true.
I give them easy ones once in a while, Deb. You know, give them the
Okay.
A list, the B list, the C list.
Keep thinking that.
Also joining us on today's show is Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. And Mike, I can almost taste the s'mores now. I hope Katie brought them.
That and the Jiffy Pop.
Jiffy Pop, that's right.
Jiffy Pop. Whatever happened to Jiffy Pop?
It's still there. We're going to have
It
it.
comes out at Tent Fest.
That's right.
That's
See,
right.
is it? We
And
have
does
it
it
up here.
still have like the stretchy aluminum thing?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Just like you remember.
That's one of the people think that microwaves are these great devices, but to me there's no more beautiful thing than watching Jiffy Pop pop on an actual oven.
And almost burning down your house, potentially.
Well, whatever, but yeah, I mean, I'll eat, break an egg, omelets, the whole thing.
That's right. Also joining us on today's show is Len Testa, Mr. Safety of the Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Welcome, Len.
How's it going, Matt?
Also joining us on today's show is Annette Owens, the Manager of Customer Relations and Group Services for MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. Welcome, Annette.
Hey, can't wait to start that Jiffy Pop. That's actually what I was going to say, and then Lynn just jumped on it. So
Yeah,
Sorry.
Also joining us on today's show once again is Deb Wills of allears.net. Welcome back to the show, Deb.
Thanks so much. Hi, everybody.
And we're answering listener questions, and we even brought Deb to answer your questions. This time, they're going to be right answers. And we're going to start with a question from Jeremy Muse of Sacramento, California, who writes, I would like your opinion on a DVC rule. In December, Tim Devine is he was throwing together an event called Pixelmania. After thinking about going, I decided that I would be able to afford it and got on DVC's website to schedule a hotel room. The event was occurring in early December. I chose Wilderness Lodge Villas in Old Key West as my backup. I received an email saying that all DVC suites were booked. I do not have an option to be put on the wait list, but you're only able to put your name on a waiting list twice during the year. My problem is I want to go to Disney World. I don't care which hotel as long as it's a suite. I would think it'd be possible to be put on a waiting list for the next available suite. At the least be able to be put on your waiting list for your home resort, and it would not affect your count for waiting list options. So what do you guys think? Have you experienced with this kind of situation? Thanks for the advice.
Wow. I have not heard of that rule, and that's very interesting. I was just counting in my head how many times in 2009 I put myself on the waiting list. I know it was at least twice, but I don't ever recall a cast member telling me that there was a limit. So I'm going to have to look into that, Jerry.
That's interesting. Mike, have you ever run into that?
I really don't do the wait list, so.
Old Key West, plus, you mentioned your name.
Yeah, there's that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I'm a friend of Mike Newell.
It's not that I don't do them. I usually get what like you said. I book at off times a year at Old Key West. I usually get them.
Very good. Next email is from David from Kingwood, Texas, who writes, "Love the show. There should be a bus available for resort guests," and he put that in capital letters, "showing a key to take them to the parks and vice versa from the parks to downtown Disney. If resort guests showed the driver their key only, they should be allowed onto the bus." On July 24th at 11 a.m., I left the studios, headed to downtown Disney for lunch and shopping. I took the boat to the Swan and then waited 20 minutes for the bus to downtown Disney. The bus went to the Dolphin, where I gave up my seat for several families with kids. I then stood as the bus went to Yacht Club, Beach Club, and Boardwalk, and finally took a long route to downtown Disney. Although I needed to be at the second stop, I got off at the first and headed straight for the Rum Runner. I left at 11 a.m. and arrived at downtown Disney at 12:42 p.m. What do you guys think of this idea for a downtown Disney only bus?
Interesting.
Yeah, because
so it'd go from the parks?
yeah, you would have one that goes from the parks to downtown Disney, and you would flash your ID, because right now you can't do that. And I think this goes back to the reason why they don't have bus service from the parks to downtown Disney is for people who are parking at downtown Disney to avoid the parking costs.
Going to the park, yes. That's the thing. Would they gain more in revenue than they would lose in parking?
I don't know if that would have a fly. I think they want to draw you to the parks. They don't want to draw you away from the park.
And the poor bus driver that's got to check the key and
you're putting the cast
date.
members.
He's got to check the date. He's got to check the date too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It reminds me of that scene from Indiana Jones where he throws the guy out of the blimp, and then he says no ticket, and everyone raises their ticket. Anyway, I guess no one else saw Indiana Jones. Never mind then.
Swing and a miss.
Right. Next email is from Peter Fulton of Brooklyn, New York. He writes, I'm going to Walt Disney World soon, and I have a couple questions. I know that California Grill lowers the lights and plays audio for the Wishes fireworks on normal operating nights. Do they do the same for holiday Wishes? Obviously, you can still see the fireworks from California Grill, but do they play the holiday audio on Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party nights if I'm going to be going in December? I'd like to book a dinner at the restaurant on a Very Merry Christmas Party night, but it would be great if the holiday Wishes audio was playing as well.
I can't see why not. I mean, I've never been in that restaurant when they've done the either party, but I got to think that it's no different.
I would agree with you, Mike.
Yeah.
Good. Peter adds, on Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party nights, do you have to attend the party to see the Cinderella's castle lighting, or does that happen before 7 o'clock when regular day guests are able to see it? I believe
They do the.
Go ahead, Deb. Sorry.
I was going to say they do the castle lighting at the end of normal hours for that day, so I believe everyone can see it.
Yeah, I believe it was around 6-ish, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, exactly. 6:30, right around there.
Yep. The last question, I would assume that on Mickey's Very Merry Christmas Party nights, buses still run regularly between the resorts and Magic Kingdom, even though it is closed to those without party tickets. Is this correct? For example, would buses still be running from Animal Kingdom Lodge to Magic Kingdom until midnight, or would bus service to that park stop after 7? Buses still run during the...
Yeah, it'd be...
Sure.
Great. Next email is from... someone who didn't put their name. Don't forget to put your name in your emails. But writes
John Doe.
John Q. Public. Whereas I'm trying to decide whether to purchase the PhotoPass CD beforehand at the discounted price, but I keep reading reviews, comments that have me going back and forth. Is it worth it? Are the photographers skilled enough to take good pictures? Is it worth it just for the special effects photos?
Mr. Testa.
What's the right? Because you know the way I'm going on that one.
I know.
What's the discounted price, Annette? If you have the if you pre-purchase, isn't it like $99 versus $100?
Yep,
Yeah, versus
99.
like 129 or 139.
I think it's 149.
140. Oh,
Yes,
gee.
it's 149 and then it's 99 with a discount.
I don't think it's worth it.
And you get a couple hundred photos, right?
You get as many
For that-
photos as the CD will hold, right?
Yes, to do hold. Yeah, so $100 is a lot of money for photos. Lots of people like it. I think generally speaking, the overall reviews are positive for it. But for me, $100 is a new camera,
Yeah, that's a good point.
not a not a CD.
But if you're going to be in the picture, if you're taking the picture,
That's the thing. Well, but you can always give your camera to the
That's true.
PhotoPass photographer.
That's true.
I think
then-
a lot depends if it's a special celebration or something memorable about that trip that you want to remember, and you want to make sure that you are in the photos and that you're going to be spending plenty of time in the parks. The one downside to it is if you don't get to the parks as much, or only spending a few days and don't get to see all the PhotoPass photographers, then you have less photos that you've just now paid for.
Right. I think also you have to force yourself to make sure that you're taking lots of photos with the PhotoPass people.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So you kind of have to, like what Deb said, you have to kind of know the situation at hand. If you're, if maybe this is just I wouldn't call it a regular trip, but you know what I mean? Maybe not something that as special as necessarily other trips. Maybe, you have to kind of weigh it as what's important to you.
Let me throw this out to everybody and see how everybody feels about this. Do you think that this would be a better deal if there were 3 times the number of PhotoPass photographers in each of the theme parks roaming around all over the place, giving more opportunity for you to have those special photos taken, maybe candid photos or whatever?
I would agree with that, Mike.
Yeah.
I would agree. I also think sometimes finding the PhotoPass photographers is very hit and miss. I've been some trips and I feel like I see them everywhere, and other trips I feel like I hardly see them. So a lot depends just sort of on timing and your luck. Are you entering the park when everybody else is? Those kinds of things.
Well, you see them, Deb. I see them on Main Street. I see them on the way to Discovery Island in the Animal Kingdom. I see them on Hollywood Boulevard, but I don't really see them much in Epcot.
Sometimes they're on the other side of the fountain, so that Spaceship Earth is in the background with the fountains.
That's right.
Yeah, they're usually on the far ends of the far ends of the Spaceship Earth, so either at the entrance or equidistant back on the World Showcase side. The thing is, though, the thing that I'm trying to figure out is anywhere where you've got a PhotoPass photographer, you can hand them your camera and go get in the picture yourself. So unless you've got, I'll give you this: typically the cameras that those guys are using are high end consumer or professional cameras. So unless you've got a 10 or 12 megapixel camera with the right lens and the right settings, you probably don't have the same type of experience or equipment that those guys have.
Fair enough. Move on to the next question. It's from Joe Strauss of Farmingville, Long Island. Right, hi guys, I'm Joe from Long Island. We're making our first trip to Disney with our 8-year-old autistic son. I'm 53, my wife is 45. We're only doing 4 days, 3 nights. We don't know how much he can tolerate. He loves all things Disney and has all videos. I've seen a lot of research and have the unofficial guide, touring plans, and ready. Oh yeah, we're going August 24th to August 27th. I listen to the show every time it's on and I love it. We're nervous but very excited. What can you add? And any advice you can offer is very welcome.
Deb.
Well, Joe, I think that the most important thing is to go by your child's stamina and what they're going to be used to and get used to and not. You didn't really mention if they're verbal or nonverbal. There's some things you can do with the maps to help them plan where you're going next. There's a variety of activities you can do while you're waiting in line. If there's an issue with certain things, you can go over to guest services and talk to them about the possibility of a guest assistance pass that will sometimes provide an alternate entrance depending on stimulation factors. So there's a lot of variables here, but the best thing to do is don't have a lot of expectations. Plan for maybe 1 or 2 things each day, and then if you're getting tired, if somebody's starting to get cranky or upset, or you need to stop and have a water break or even go back to the hotel, do those kinds of things. And I think the less expectations you have, the more you're going to be pleasantly happy with your trip.
Absolutely. And I'll take this opportunity to shamelessly plug Deb's book, Passporters, Open Mouse for Walt Disney World and the Disney Cruise Line, which Deb and Deborah Martin Coma wrote. And you can check that book out. And that book's going to cover, obviously, autism and a number of other issues that some people may have when visiting Walt Disney World.
Thanks, Matt, for bringing the book up. Yes, unfortunately, we never did anything past a second edition, but I believe there's some copies still available at passporter.com. And clearly the information that we have on traveling with autism or something in the autistic spectrum disorder are certainly covered in there, and that's timeless. So a lot of our tips and hints would be very valid. We also, on All Ears, have a section on traveling to Walt Disney World with a variety of special challenges, including autism.
Very good. Next email is from Jim from Loganville, Georgia. Writes, I'm going to be down in the world next month for an 8-day vacation. I'll be using my Magical Express to get to Caribbean Beach. I know bottled water is very expensive on property. I want to have some water bottles to take to the parks, as I have a bottle holder from my belt that makes carrying one easy. And I was wondering if water at the airport is any cheaper than at any of the resorts. Could I get some water there and buy it and bring it on the bus to the resort? Or I was thinking about buying 1 or 2 bottles at the resort and just refilling them after each day in my room. Do you have any other opinions on this?
I know some people have had success shipping a case of water to themselves at a resort. I'm trying to think of what they've used. There's also something called Garden Grocer. I've not used them myself, but they seem to get a lot of positive feedback on the boards, and you can go to their website, have them deliver a case of water and assorted groceries to you, and that might be more economical than spending the $253 in the park.
What I used to do is I used to just buy, a 12, 24 pack, whatever, water at Target or whatever. This is before the air luggage things. But if you're flying an airline like Southwest or JetBlue, where they don't charge you the fees for bags, I mean, you could just bring it in a duffel bag or whatever, and bring it with you down there. And then obviously when you're done, you're not going to bring the water back with you. So you just, because you're presumably going to use it, you take the duffel bag and put it in your larger bag and bring it back. So that's one option for you as well. If you have a rental car, obviously you can stop on your way. And also, Len, I know that some of the car services will allow you a grocery stop as well, right?
That's right. So any of the town car services will generally allow you one stop of up to 30 minutes. So a Publix or something like that nearby. The thing with buying a lot of bottles of water or shipping them or anything like that is generally it's a lot of effort for $4 worth of water.
Yeah.
So buy a couple of bottles and refill them is probably your least hassle, least cost option, and I would say that that's probably the first thing to look at. If for some reason you don't like doing that, or you think you're going to lose the bottle, you're going to lose a couple of bottles every day, then I would say your next best is probably Garden Grocer, assuming there's no minimum there for the delivery. But like shipping a whole case of water is a pretty big carbon footprint for bottles of water.
Absolutely. Next email is from Steve from St. Cloud, Florida. Hey, neighbor. Who writes in episode 596, where we discussed live stage performances around Disney World. You mentioned you guys forgot one, the buffet at Germany. Great show and good food.
Yeah.
Beer garden. That's right.
It's true.
Yeah, the Oompa band over there. And after seeing them, usually I think you'll see probably 2 cycles of the show, right, between an average meal.
It's half hour on and then half an hour off, right? So yeah, you might get through 2.
Yeah.
Or 20 and 20.
Yeah. What do you like the show, Mike Scopa?
Yeah, I actually have danced the polka there a couple of times.
Not in Munich in 1896. I'm talking about like
when it was when it first came out, when it was the hit news.
I mean,
when kids were doing it.
We've said many times that Beer Garden is a very good place to go if you've got a large group of people. It's and it's a nice place to go if you don't mind, sitting down with strangers and saying, "Hey, where you from?" and everything.
Hey.
I've met a lot of interesting people there, and it's a very very loud place. So if you're not into loud music, then definitely it's one place you want to avoid. And the food there is pretty good for the price too.
Yeah, Beer Garden has also been one of the top-rated restaurants in Epcot for families when we've done some all-year surveys, and especially because the kids can get up and dance when the band's playing. The adults can too, and it's just a fun overall place. People seem to like that a lot.
Oh, absolutely. It's a lot of fun. It's definitely worth trying out. Even if German food is perhaps not your preferential dining arrangement, but I really think that it's worth checking out because the entertainment is really fun, and the food, I like the food, so give it a try. Next email is from Nancy in Iowa, who writes, "Does Disney provide bus transportation to Winter Summerland mini golf course?"
Isn't it right next to
Blizzard Beach.
Blizzard Beach. Yeah, you can walk there actually from the entrance. There's a little path. Yeah.
Yes, that's all I have to do. Very good. Very quick email. Next email is from Marty Doherty of Chicago, Illinois. Writes, "Hi guys, love the show and wanted to let you know a tip that I recently learned. I'm sure this is known by many, but I just learned it. On my last trip, I didn't want to go wait for a Magical Express and took a cab to Wilderness Lodge. The cost was close to $80 without a tip. I did tip, but just don't recall what it was. A return trip to the airport later that week was similar in price, so call it $150 to $160 round trip.
Holy cow.
That's
for my
a lot.
upcoming trip, what was that?
That's a lot.
Yeah,
It sure
cow.
is.
For how many days, man? How many days was it there?
No, this is just his cab ride, Mike.
I know,
I hope that was a van and not a cab.
but I mean, if it's $160 and he's there for only 3 days, then why not rent a car?
Oh, he didn't say. Sorry.
I don't think it's worth it for 10 days.
Well, anyway, he writes, yeah, I agree with you, Newell. For my upcoming trip, I decided to check out some car services. Well, I was blown away to learn that they are much cheaper. I'll be dropping $109 for a round trip to and from the airport compared to $150 to $160 in a cab. So I get a nice town car instead of a dirty cab,
Right.
and they'll stop at the grocery store for no charge. I'm assuming you guys already are aware of this, but wanted to pass it on anyway.
Yep.
I didn't know the cabs were so expensive these days.
No, when I've taken the taxi from about 3 or 4 different locations at Disney World, it's been about $40 one way. So
it's
80's high. Wow.
80 sounds like a bit much, yeah.
80's really high for one way.
Len, I was going to ask you, which car services you guys recommend in the unofficial guide these days?
Happy Limo is one, and Tiffany Town Car is the other.
Oh, cool. Very good. Deb, any preferences for town car services?
We like Happy Limo.
Very good. Next email.
I should offer the disclaimer they are a paid advertiser on all ears.
Okay.
But I do use them and I like them and we do shop them.
Very good. Next email's from Martin from Abilene, Texas. Writes, hi guys, girl, and possibly special guest. That's you, Deb.
Hey, special.
Awesome. Wow.
Thank you, Martin.
Wow, how did they know?
Wow. Woohoo.
Freaky.
I'll be heading to the world in May of 2010 for my honeymoon, and my fiance is a huge Lion King and Simba fan. Other than the Festival of the Lion King show at the Animal Kingdom and the Circle of Life movie at Epcot, are there any other Lion King attractions or experiences that we could go to, such as a character and meet and greet, events, parade, etc.? Thanks for the help. Your show rocks.
Well, Timon can be found in Adventureland in the Magic Kingdom, and I have seen him in Animal Kingdom before. Best thing to do is go to guest services when you enter the park and ask if Timon or any of the other Lion King characters, Rafiki is in Animal Kingdom also, or if they're going to be around that day.
Yeah, I'm trying to think if there's any other places. Oh, in Adventureland, right there on that, like right when you go into Adventureland from the hub, right near
Right.
Right across from Swiss Family Robinson Treehouse.
Exactly. You always see them over there. It's always Timon or Rafiki, as Deb mentioned. I'm trying to think if I've seen them anywhere else, but nothing comes to mind. Len, any thoughts on that? I know you're Mr. Character.
Yeah, no, not really. Yeah, no,
He's a
no.
character, all right.
That's true.
Next email is from Claire from Jefferson, Wisconsin. Who writes, greetings all. I've listened for a few months now and really enjoy the podcast. I've not been to the world in ages. My friends are discussing a trip in summer 2011. The problem is we're all poor teachers, poor in finances, not in ability, I hope. Some of my friends are reluctant to spend a Walt Disney World trip because they think it's too expensive. Since it is still 2 years away, we're thinking of going. I was wondering what our monetary goal should be when it comes to saving for this trip. Take 5 adults, a low to medium price resort, 5 to 7 days of the parks, plus very low spending on food and souvenirs, excluding airfare for right now. If discussing money on your podcast is looked down upon, feel free to just email me back. Rapid response is not necessary either. No problem with that problem. Thanks very much.
This is a great question. So where are they coming from?
It doesn't say, but they say don't factor in Wisconsin, but I guess driving might be an option there because they say don't factor in airfare.
I was thinking mostly tickets. So tickets are pretty much a fixed cost, right? There's not much you can do to save those.
Right. Well, you could buy them now and lock in the price. That would
You could buy them now from a discounter, right? Which would be the absolute lowest. In terms of tickets, going to one park a day and avoiding the park hopper and the expiration options would be the least expensive option there. And then 5 people, how many rooms is that? 2 or 3? 1, 2.
It's got to be at least 2.
It's going to be 2.
2 rooms. 2 rooms at a value resort, or a cabin.
Right.
1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, or a cabin. Depending on, although a cabin's probably not as cheap as 2 value rooms ever, right? In it.
No, it's not going to be this.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yeah.
2 value rooms.
Good try.
Yeah, I was there.
So what do you think, Len? What do you think the ballpark figure is going to be?
What time of year?
Did they say what time of year?
They're teachers, so
Summer 2011. Yeah.
So if you think Annette was about 110 a night for a room,
It might be higher than that in the summer,
120, 130.
probably. I think they should tent. They should be camping.
No, they can't.
At one campsite, all of them on one campsite.
These are kids. They hold our children's future in their hands. we don't want them to be grumpy and sleeping on
Are
the
they
ground.
science teachers?
What does that got to do with it?
So yeah, really. Yeah, why would that? Let's think. Okay. So let's say, and then what if they figured 150 a night for hotel room each, so 2 rooms, so $300 a night for 5 people, $60. Although they could go off-site.
They could get a 2-bedroom villa.
They could stay at All Star.
All-Star
Get a
Vacation Home.
house.
All-Star,
Vacation.
absolutely.
So that would actually be the least expensive, but then they have to get a car.
Right.
But it'd still be cheaper.
But if they're driving down,
That's
Oh,
true.
if they're
It'd still be
driving, yeah.
cheap. Yeah, it's true. It'd still be cheaper.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the benefits of staying on property is the extra magic hours. But in the summertime, the hours are so extended.
Yeah, they're so long that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So right now, so let's say, if I bet you they could do a nice house for like $250 a night, which would save them $50 a night. Easily, they should go into All-Star Vacation Homes
Yeah,
to check it.
Check that out. And you can check out for the ticket options. You go to touringplans.com. They have the least ticket calculator.
Yeah, the ticket calculator, and that's actually $236 right now for tickets for 5 days, which is it's about $7 savings versus Disney. So $7 is $7 times 5 people is $35.
That's without the hopper, Matt.
So that's without the hopper. Yes, that's $235. Yeah.
Another 53 for the hopper, I think.
Yeah, but so you wouldn't want to do that. So plus one park per day is good, especially again if they're going during summer. I'd be concerned if the Animal Kingdom was closing early because then they'd be worrying about things to do. But it's going to be up until 8 o'clock. You'll be fine.
Yeah, on the Animal Kingdom days, just go to Downtown Disney or go back to your resort, go back to your All-Star Vacation Home, go in the pool.
Yeah, exactly. So So we're thinking driving down All-Star Vacation Home, 5-day park, 5-day no hopper tickets. Buying them now from a third-party vendor. In this case,
Now, food. How much per day for food?
you know, you could do well on $35 a day. You could probably get by on $32 depending on what you eat. If you've got a car, you're going to go get groceries. You're going to go get groceries outside of Walt Disney World. So there's a Publix on 192 by where most of the All-Star Vacation Homes are. And you could get, tons of soda there inexpensively. You could get breakfast items. You can get inexpensive meals for dinner, prepackaged stuff or stuff that they make fresh in the Publix. And you could do it's like a third of the cost of the Disney stuff.
Cool. Hopefully that'll shed some light over there. But obviously, I think the one thing that you probably want to
totally do a show on this, a separate show on this. This might be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing you just got to, if you can, book those tickets now because the prices are just going to go up on those theme park admission tickets.
Yeah.
That's the one thing you can lock in the price about.
Yeah.
Great. Next email is from Mark from St. Louis, Missouri. Whereas after hearing of the Sutton's family recent overnight stay in the Haunted Mansion for its 40th anniversary, a question came to mind. Which Disney parks attraction would you like to have an overnight stay in? My thoughts go out to anyone who picks It's a Small World, which would easily be the most frightening overnight experience of all.
oh, nightmare.
Actually, I would love to do It's a Small World, but without the audio in the evening because I'm just fascinated by the attraction because I saw it as a 9 and 10-year-old back in the New York World's Fair. But it would be really, really cool to be able to spend time looking at each of the different dolls and each of the theming areas. But like I said, the audio would have to be off.
For me, it's got to be Tower of Terror. I would love to be able to to chill out over there. What about you, Newell?
I would have stuck with Haunted Mansion myself.
Glenn?
Yeah, Haunted Mansion would be a fun. Pirates of the Caribbean would be another one.
Scopa?
Great movie ride. It would be like walking through a wax museum.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice. Annette?
Well, you could say that about It's a Small World, too.
Yeah.
They actually come to life at the end of the
Yeah.
great movie ride. That's completely different.
Like Chucky and Bride of Chucky, Lynn.
That's right.
Oh, dear. Maybe that wasn't such a great idea.
Oh, wow.
Annette?
No, I would have to say pirates are, I know there's the suite up there. Just treat me like a princess one night in the castle. I would be happy with that.
Ooh, good call.
All right. It's time for one last email today where I'm going to give Mike and Newell 3 emails to choose from. One will be answered today. The other 2 go back into the email queue to be answered later. You ready, Mike?
Hit me with your best shot. Fire away.
I love Pat Benatar.
Here he goes.
The thing is, she got married to her guitarist, right? But they're still married, like all these years later. And the funny thing is you listen to her voice. I was telling Hannah this the other day on the way to school. This was like 20 years before autotune, and she could sing.
That's right.
All the kids these days, everything's all auto-tuned. But back then, you actually had to have the pipes. You had to have the chops, sister.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So, Deb, when we invited you on this show, did you think we were going to be talking about Pat Benatar?
I really didn't. I thought it would be Van Halen or someone like that. Pat Benatar's pretty good, I like the song.
Maybe
Love
some
it.
heart, but not
Could
Pat
you-
Benatar.
Here's the thing.
I give it an 8. It's easy to dance to.
Could you imagine Pat Benatar lip syncing anything? No, she would never do it.
No.
The thought has never occurred to her at all. I guarantee it. Go ahead.
Now you're BFF it now. Jeez. All right, here are your options, Newell. I can't think of a clever subject line, but I wouldn't mind getting bumped up the queue. Do I need a PhD in math to solve this problem?
God.
Or my trip will be shorter than this email and Mangello.
Oh, jeez.
I think in Len's defense, I'm going to give him the math question because he loves a good number.
Okay, so before we do this, let me just mention this that our touring plans were written up in a new book called Numbers Rule Your World. It's by a guy named Kaiser Fung, who's a professional statistician, and he's also the author of the Junk Charts blog. Ooh. He's XM radio statistician, but he actually mentions our touring plans and how Disney's FastPass system works. It's really nice. He calls me the patron saint of disgruntled theme park fans everywhere. Which I thought was, and the neat thing was he sent me a copy of the book a couple weeks ago. I didn't actually know he was writing about us until I got a copy of the finished book in the mail. It was very cool.
Nice.
Yeah, it was neat.
All right, Stat Boy, here you go.
Yeah.
Last spell of the day is from Becky Christensen of Oconomowoc, Wisconsin. She put it phonetically for me to say, and I still
Did you really need to get rid of still?
Oconomowoc. Anyway,
They listen too long.
give two short.
Up a phonetic pronunciation. Oh my god, my kidneys hurt. I'm laughing so hard.
We have two short trips planned this year. One in July for 3 nights, planning 1 or 2 days in the park, and then another 3-day trip in October, planning 1 day at Food and Wine, the other day at Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. We used to go on long trips once or twice a year and use annual passes. However, our plan is going forward will be multiple shorter trips. We'll be volunteering this spring for our freebie ticket. We also have a 1-day Magic Your Way ticket from last year that we never used. Okay. First question. Can we combine both of these tickets, a 1-day pass and a freebie ticket, towards the cost of new tickets? I know you could put your the freebie ticket towards it. We answered that question a couple weeks ago, and it's been confirmed by some other listeners that the ticket you get for the Give a Day, Get a Day, that's a regular ticket. So you want to use it towards an annual pass, renewal, or purchase, no problem. Another Magic Your Way ticket, have at it.
Except if it's a complimentary pass, that sometimes those are given. I don't think it's very often anymore, but if the ticket value was $0, I'm not talking about the Give a Day or the Celebrate, then you only get what the value of the ticket was. And so in those cases, you would not get anything for that.
Right, absolutely. Second question, can we use them for 10-day park hoppers with water park fun and more option non-expiring tickets? And also, should we buy that type of ticket?
So this is a great question. I think you can. I don't think there's a limit on the number of tickets you can combine.
No, you can combine them. I've done that in the past.
Yes.
And it's better than an annual pass. The 10-day non-expiration is number one, less expensive than an annual pass. Number two, if you're doing three 3-day trips in a year, it's cheaper than it's if you're doing 3-day trips, it doesn't even have to be in the same year. Then the 10-day pass is the best option.
Right.
This is I think I talked about this the last time I got Hannah's annual pass. That I've actually would have been better off getting the 10-day no expiration than the annual pass because she was only in the parks for 10 days on her previous annual pass. So yeah, I think that works out better. And you can always upgrade, right?
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
There you go.
Finally, if we do get that ticket option, what would be the credit left over on the passes when we have 1 day left? Can we use that towards the purchase of another ticket in the distant future? So if
I believe so, if it doesn't expire.
Yeah, why not?
You can, but know that the 10th day on there is going to be that little add-on of that 1 day.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Won't
So it's
be
like a
worth
buck.
very much.
Yeah. It's not going to do you very much good in that regard. All right, very good. Well, that's it for us today. Don't forget that this episode of WDW Today has been sponsored by MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. And you know what? you have these crazy ticket questions and you can't get a hold of the patron saint of disgruntled touring people, theme park people. I almost got that. You know what? The next best thing is Scopa. And if Scopa's not available, well, then try MEI and Mouse Fan Travel because they can help you plan that trip, even with all these weird, convoluted questions. And that you've dealt with these kinds of questions many times, right?
Just a few.
Just a few. That's right. So you have these complicated questions. Call MEI and Mouse Fan Travel. They can help you plan your next trip to Walt Disney World. As simple or as complicated as it may be, they're there to make your life easier. Check them out online at www.mousefantravel.com. And, of course, thank you, Deb, for helping us with these questions. We sounded much smarter today, so thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on.
And, of course, allears.net for all your Disney World stuff. We use it to cheat to make ourselves sound smarter, so check them out. If you want to find our older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the WDW Today website at wdwtoday.com. For a test of Mike Scopa, Mike Newell, and Fabulous Annette Owens.
This has been a production of Mouse
I'm Matt
World
Ashford.
Radio.
See you on the next show.